Yo, yo, yo. We are live, baby. Live. Pub Sports Radio, NCAA, Net Profit. I'm Conor Mack. This is my guy, Honey, the cupcakes, the man. He had a 5-2 day yesterday. I got to say, Max, real quick, I want to get it out. That packet of honey, is it still on you? Because that was a little bit of good mojo here on the show. I know you were carrying it around. Or did you eat it? Did you use it?
I'll tell you, Conor, I may have a box of them because today I got a new honey, and she is delicious and organic. The only way honey can be made, because it comes from a bee. And God bless those bees. They work hard.
They do. God, shout out to the bees worldwide, no doubt. Maybe not all of them, killer bees, but shout out to the bees for sure.
That's hilarious, Conor. Good shit.
But we love it. I went 2-3 yesterday. Let's roll through our action. We'll roll through, some of the games, just give some catch up on the scores. I went 2-3. The Hofstra game hurt me. I know you had it too, Max. They had a layup. They had another shot to at least get within 6. It was close the whole game. I think I was on the right side. People say that, whether, blah, 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 blah. But if I had to play that game again, I'd take the 6.5 with Hofstra again against Iona. Seton Hall came through, outright win against Michigan. They looked just as good as early on in the year. They got it done. That game stayed under. I'm glad I didn't touch the total in that one. American, my ugly dog was ugly. They didn't shoot. They got their ass whipped by 22 to Georgetown. And Georgia State just didn't want to play any defense, and they didn't score enough. I was a little disappointed in that one. And my under, which I'll be on a few more today, came through. I thought it was one of the better looks, even at 127.5. Tarleton, Wichita State. Let's just run through yours real quick, Max, and I'll touch on some of the games through yesterday, and then we'll get going today.
Yeah, because I could have had Sweep City yesterday. Let's be brutally honest. Triple overtime and then a fucking phantom fucking call by the refs with 0.4 seconds left to put the game over. That is fucking fuck you, City. I want that ref's number. I'm going to pay that guy a visit if I get into America. And I'll tell you one other thing, Conor Mack. I'll tell you, the ref in Hofstra, that guy deserves a fucking smack in the back of the head. And then he deserves to have his fridge stolen and his food devoured. Because I do not know what I was seeing with referees last night. Maybe the mob got to them, the Dixie mob in the South, but I just saw bullshit. And you want to talk about real bullshit? UTA versus Abilene Christian. A jump ball on a ball where the guy has his arms wrapped around it like this. There is no way. You may be able to sneak your hands in there, but that was no jump ball. Led to a 3-point shot, tying 3-point shot with 1.5 seconds left. It was fuck you, City to Maxwell Smart. That's what it really was. So I'm glad that some of the show picks did well, but Norfolk State was nice and easy, a breeze. Houston, full game was a breeze. Arizona first half was a breeze, and then hitting that last second shot to get that over 66 in the first half. Woo! It's a sweat. Ass was clenched, tight like a bank vault, Conor. Tight like a bank vault.
That was, and great call with Fullerton as well.
Yes, and Fullerton. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I just know you missed it, but it was they came up big, won big, and I wish I was on it with you. Sometimes I go, what the F was I thinking? But I have to say, your thing you just ran through there, that they should steal a man's fridge and all his food out of. Classic. I love it.
Hey, listen, I think about the things that I wouldn't want to have stolen from me, and high on the list is my full fridge. That's for sure.
I've never thought of it that way, but when you say it, yeah. I wouldn't like someone to just strap up my fridge and dip out of my crib. So I agree with you there.
If you want to steal my cleaning products, like that's okay, Like I'd even go to an extent as you could raid my off-season closet, but don't steal my fridge, bro. I need that to live.
Cool. Let's rip through some of the scores. Villanova won by 19. And any games, real quick, Max, just interrupt because I'm just going to rip through some of these scores. Just let me know if you want to talk about any of them. Purdue, I know you were big on that. They were big. Wright State did not show up there. That just clicked away on me. Why did it? Duke was big. They won big. Some big favorites won. Go ahead.
I was going to say that a lot of the spots where we thought that some of the Blue Bloods or some of the top 5 teams were going to get a little fuck you city, the only one that really took it in the mouth was Iowa.
That's true. That late game there that was down at the bottom of the extra board. This one was obviously BYU took it to Oregon. That's about the worst performance I've seen from Oregon. I stayed off. I leaned the under.
I was all over Oregon, Conor. I was wearing my Oregon shirt. I was wearing my Oregon hat. And if you ask me, I'm not usually superstitious, but I probably jinxed the Ducks on that. So they can punch me in the face if they see me.
Kentucky. I had it pretty lean with them, I thought. But when you lay 26s, when it moves, they only win by 25. Mount St. Mary's is not very good. Kentucky, not a crazy scoring team. They only got 80 when maybe other teams would get 90 or 100. You were dead on Houston. This is not a very good Virginia team, I think, this year. I think they're just going to be very average. What that little bit of a down year from them. South Alabama played Alabama tough. Lost by 5. That was a little bit of a nail biter. North Carolina won by 11. Let's get to some of these. Southern Cal, 78-61. They got the cover there. Oklahoma State, we'll be talking to, played UMass Lowell 80-58. This was one I wanted to be on, was the FAU Miami game. Obviously, there wasn't those points with that total, but they covered there, and I kind of kicked myself for not getting involved in that one.
I was actually getting involved live on the first half in that game.
Beautiful.
I got on Miami live first half. I just saw the writing on the wall early, and I was very surprised, but not really that surprised that we saw a tale of two halves. Let's not kid ourselves. We're betting on college basketball, which is literally most often 2 games within 1. So it's a good thing to keep that in mind going forward.
Very true. Max is already on these first halves, which is phenomenal, and live bet second. I'm slowly getting there. I want to watch a little bit more basketball, but and then see a little more trends, how these teams are first half, second half, going that way. Monmouth, real quick, wins, covers by 1. Creighton, we thought Nebraska, this could be it. Same old Nebraska, Max. They lose by 8, 77-69. And either you had the total real quick, like you pushed, depending on where you got it. It depended on right on 146.
Yeah, I lost on the total, lost on Nebraska, and when Nebraska went down 20-something in the first half, I was like, really? You pieces of shit. I wish I had a hat that I could burn and piss on. I would use it as a diaper for my dog, Oliver.
Yeah.
I don't like the Cornhuskers, Conor. Can you tell?
I know. You were a little high on them before it started. So hot. Still no defense, and I just, at home, not to get it done. Same old Cornhuskers there. Let's get to a few more. The Abilene, Arlington OT was.
Let's get through that one. Let's just not.
It's horrible. Arizona, big win there. You talked about it. That's about it. Fullerton, we mentioned that. At Loyola Chicago, kicked ass. Huge win. They should. Chicago State's horrible. There. Santa Clara, I wanted to touch on that one. Big win there. Bunch of points. That went over. I like the over in that game, but what a win. Santa Clara, pretty good basketball team. They normally are, but big win there, huh?
Yeah, I think that with Nevada, Nevada was the one that really just didn't come and play together. I think that not having a very helpful and useful AJ Brahma at full strength does hurt. And I think that when you don't get that really dominant backcourt production from Cambridge and Sherfield, it does hurt. So I was surprised by that game. I thought that Nevada was going to be able to situationally rebound, and obviously we saw the results. So tip my hat to Santa Clara. They got a bunch of Canadians on that roster. I believe 3. So obviously they know what they're doing when it comes to recruiting.
Definitely. Let's give a quick shout out to the chat. Run through the names right before we get to Max's games today. To all our guys, Pocket QB Lamar Jackson, Nasty Nate in the house, spreadsheet guy Ron Crawford in here, Roland G, Rem Most, Yeah, that under hit, man. I'm glad. I had a few others that sucked. IQJ, Jay Peasy, Taylor MacArthur. Yeah, the Oregon game. I'm glad I was off, but yeah, interesting one there. Kevin DeFreitas, shout out to my guy. Donos to us all the time. We appreciate it. Zachariah R. Alfonso Scott, Cab. What's up, my guy? How you doing? It's about Steve Tip the Cap, Alex Johnson, Rude Jude in the house. Rude Jude. Thanks so much, guys. Hit the like, hit all the bells, the whistles, the retweet, all the fun shit. We appreciate you guys being in here because we love college basketball, and so do you if you're in here. So North Ender, what's up, my guy? Kevin Garris. Let's get to it, Max. Let's get right to your games. Let's get today from all the shit yesterday. Good day on the show for you. 5-2, 2-3 for me, almost 3-2. But I'm ready for today. I want to win now. I want to cash today. So feed me some winners, baby. Let's get right to your first game. VCU versus Vandy. Vandy's favored by 4.5. Totals 133 in this ball game. What do you got here, Max, in this one?
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that VCU is getting a little too much respect, Conor, and I have to look at who has the better game-breaking, the game-changing score, and that obviously is Vandy with Scottie Pippen Jr. What Scottie Pippen Jr. this year has done has been absolutely phenomenal so far. I think that when I watched his last game, he did put up 30, and with the way that he's shooting from all three levels, running the point, being effective and very ball hawkish on defense, he's just doing it on both sides, and it's inspirational to guys like freaking Jordan Wright and Miles Sloot. So with Miles Sloot, this is a guy that obviously has a fantastic last name. I call people Sloots all the time, and he actually has it as his government name. So this is a guy I definitely would like to mentor. He can come to Toronto for a free vacation, and we can get some single event betting going on. But I think that with him, he is the most important piece for this offense without the veteran leadership and experience, Aaliyah Robbins and Ronnie Chapman. His three-point shot has to be on point. And this is a Vanderbilt team that has thrived on being able to penetrate their opponent's defense and get to the free throw line. If they get to the free throw line with the consistency and volume that we've seen already this year, I think that Vandy is getting disrespected at home. And while they may be a bottom feeder in the SEC, they are much better than Georgia, in my opinion. I think that they're going to cover this number. So the way I'm playing it is, if you want to bet full game, you're definitely getting a discount. But I think that taking the first half minus 2.5 is my name and my game. So let's rock with the Commodores. Let's get on that horse, and let's not whip it, because horses are our friends. Vandy, 2.5 first half. Fuck with your eyes open. Let's go.
Horses are our friends, for sure. What do you think? I know you got 2.5. I mean, you're still okay with a lot of places have moved to 3. I know there's a few, maybe 2.5. So you still good with it at 3 first half?
I don't like it as much at 3, but I would take it at 3.
Okay. Just for everyone out there, maybe some people can get it, but I'm looking at most at 3 right now. Let's get to your second game. Interesting one. Marist versus Princeton. Princeton 7-point favorites. Totals 129.5. I'm interested what you have in this game.
So
Hit me with the Max.
This is the Marist team that I have a lot of interest in betting on a game-to-game basis, just because they have a very high efficient score in Raheem Sullivan. And guess what, Conor? Guess what's on his passport? Where his country of origin is?
Canada.
Take a guess, Conor.
Canada.
Canada,
fucking
baby. Know it, bro.
Super
you
Canadian.
Fucking know it. And that's what I'm talking about. I love my Canadian ballers. I want to shout them out. I want to get them that respect. And this is a Raheem Sullivan kid from my city that can fuck with his eyes open. Not only is he a much improved three-point shooter from last year, this is a complete 3-level score. Break your ankles off the dribble. Physical, can get through a freaking screen. And when it comes to the pick and roll, he's always going to think about himself first. And with this with this personnel and this complementary staff, I think that you have to look at it like that. The question is always going to be, what else do you get in the backcourt? And you're going to need Ricardo Wright to step up. So far this year with him, he's been shooting really nicely in the first 2 games from 3, 54% and 6 for 11 already made. So that is going to need to be a constant. But I think that this group is definitely playing with confidence. They know that they can stay within a number. The question is, can they win the game? I think that this is an upset potential. I think that at +7, I still like it. I will point out that I did get 8.5. But at 7, I still do like it. I think that Marist is going to surprise Princeton. And if Princeton can't get consistent offense, I just think that with this new improved isolation game for Marist for the Red Fox, I think that they're going to end up winning this game. I think that the 7 is the safe way to go.
I found this game interesting as well. Princeton's not a team I love to lay points with. So it's very interesting. I mean, I like that you got the 8.5. I think 7's good as well. I got to see more of this Princeton team, especially, and yeah, they're not obviously Princeton teams. That offense they run, very interesting. I like the points there, Max. Let's get to your third one here, which I really, really like that you had this game. Binghamton versus Columbia. Binghamton's favored by 2. Totals 139.5. I have. What did you have here?
So this is a spot where I at first was really liking Columbia. I thought that Columbia plays a lot of inside the arc offense, really tries to get to the free throw line, and really tries to punish you on the defensive end when they go to the rim. I think that with their 3-point shooting be a little less inconsistent, that did scare me off, especially with a Binghamton team that definitely has shooters. The issue for Binghamton is the fact that you have Tyler Bertrand and you have Jacob Falco starting pretty poorly from beyond the arc, And when you're shooting 3 for 18 combined, that just isn't a really number. That isn't a good number that I feel comfortable with. I think this game is going to be a rock fight, but the thing that is going to play in Binghamton's favor is that they have a sophomore who I think is going to be an emerging star in the American East Conference, and that is Kellen Amos. Kellen Amos is a 6'7" sophomore. He can score from all 3 levels. He's already demonstrated that with a 22-point game off the bench, and I expect him to be able to continue leading this team offensively until the aforementioned sharpshooters figure out their sharp shooting. So I'm taking Binghamton in the first half. I like them to an extent full game, but not enough to make official. We'll ride the first half. If they're destined to win this game, they're going to be leading. So let's go.
Okay, great. I wanted to just touch on a few people asked in the chat. What did you think of the total in this one at 139.5? Any read over under?
Ordinarily, I'd be looking at the over in it just because of like what the personnel is on both sides. But considering what's going on with the 3-point shooting, I just don't really feel that this is a spot where I want to be jumping on it over. I want to see a game where all 3 of their offensive weapons all go off before I start taking numbers where you need at least 3.5 points a minute to get over.
Okay. Sounds good. I like it. Let's get to the fourth one. This is one I'm on as well, but I love your take a little bit. I can't wait to hear you. Prairie View, A&M versus Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon up to 12.5 point favorites. Totals 133.5. What do you got here, Max?
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that you have to look at Grand Canyon, and you also have to examine the situational reality for Prairie View A&M. The Panthers are playing a lot of games in a very short amount of time with very minimal rest. So they've had to literally go into the deepest parts of their bench. And when you have all these players playing in all these games in consecutive days, what can't you do? Expel extra energy. So what does that mean? You can't press. And that is where I think Grand Canyon is going to be able to take a really nice advantage over this Prairie View team. Now, there have been some disappointments as far as Walter Ellis getting on the floor and shooting threes and making them for this Grand Canyon team. But when you have a super floor general point guard, an assertive scoring point guard like Javon Blackshear, all is probably going to be okay, because if his teammates aren't doing it, he'll do it himself. I think that this is a typical Grand Canyon first half spot. You got a team that is a little weary. You got a team that is definitely less talented. And you got a team that's going into a very hostile environment with one of the loudest student sections, if not arenas, in college basketball. So the only way I could look at it is Grand Canyon first half -6.5. And I think it's Cupcake City. And I want a goddamn, I'm not going to say Boston cream, I'm going to say a cookies and cream cupcake, baby. Give me that shit.
Yes. The more you talk about it, I know the weariness, of Prairie View, how many games these teams are playing. And like you talk about, Max, it's all about money. Some of these small schools are, playing 7 games in 10 days, teams like Prairie View, A&M. I wanted full game. This is moved to 12.5. I love the first half. I wanted to ask you real quick, do you think this is, of the last few years, Grand Canyon's had pretty good basketball teams? They're just as good? Or just real quick?
I don't think that they're as good because they're not as post offense heavy. I think that the unique thing about Grand Canyon was that they had 2 capable scoring, almost 7-footers, and now they're transitioning to a more backcourt oriented offense. So they're going to be reliant on their additions like Walter Ellis and Holland Woods to provide that backcourt scoring, because the frontcourt players, I don't know if they're able to produce the same kind of numbers.
Okay, great. Let's get to your last one, and then after that, if you maybe, I know these were your 5 official, maybe we could touch on a few more games. If you have the leans, they have to make official, but let's get to your last one here. North Florida versus UCLA. UCLA, huge favorites, 26, total 145.5. What do you have here, my friend?
Yeah, Conor, this is a spot where I'm all over UCLA team total over 85.5. Plain and simply, when you look up and down this UCLA roster, while they may be playing a Mick Cronin style defense, they still have a floor general in Tiger Campbell who goes to the strip club on Saturdays and never, ever buys a stripper a drink. So when someone does that, you got my heart, you got my love. I'll bail you out of jail. Don't worry. You call Maxwell Smart. I got you. From a betting perspective and from an offensive perspective for UCLA, North Florida is not the most stout defensive team. Let's not let that performance against Arizona State trick us into thinking that. Let's remember that Jules Bernard, Jaime Jaquez, and of course Johnny Juzang are all capable scorers inside the arc at the free throw line. So I don't think defense is going to be very critical in this game. I think we see the best offensive players for UCLA for a lot of minutes. And on the other side, everybody on that North Florida team that's seeing rotation minutes are hitting threes except for Jose Placer. So if you like a North Florida team total, I think that's a good one also. I just don't have a number right now, and I don't have a bet on it right now, but it could be an addition if the night goes well.
Yeah. Right when you mentioned the team total, I liked it. And I'm not fooled either. This was a bad North Florida team last year. Bad defensively. Yes, they've gotten a few covers early against team, but I'm not too fooled either. I think UCLA gets over 85. They've been hitting the 100 mark. As soon as you said that, I really, really liked it. I think I'll be jumping on that as well. Were there a couple other maybe leans you didn't want to mention as official picks real quick before we jump to mine? Or you good?
No. Let's jump to yours and let's save time for all the questions, Conor.
Sounds good. Let's get to mine. My first one here: St. John's versus Indiana. Indiana favored by 5, total 151. Man, this is kind of the big one of the day. We got a few more to get through, which we'll get into in the chat. The other big games that are on today, and a card. There's spots I like here, but maybe not as good yesterday. I got to take the points with St. John's. I grabbed the 6 last night. I think you're okay at 5. I'm interested in this Indiana team. It's early. and this was almost a bet I didn't make last night. St. John's, the big thing is they played two easy teams. They've almost shot 50% from three. They're scoring like crazy. And I think they do tonight. And another thing, I'm going to talk about this on some of my unders. When I see teams like St. John's, their problem is turning the ball over. It was horrible for them last year. They're like 250, 260 in turnovers. But at the end of the year, they cleaned it up and played better last year because they went in a spell of like a 6-game losing streak in between a big winning streak, losing streak, and then at the end of the year, they got hot again. I think they got the guard play. I think they'll be able to score. If you can hit threes, maybe not 48%, but if you can hit threes against Indiana at that place, you can 80% of your foul shots. I really, really like it. Indiana, I don't know what to say. I told you, Max, I was kicking myself for not being on Eastern Michigan that first game. Indiana did have like a 20-point lead. It only ended up being 68-62. Then they beat up Northern Illinois by 30 or so. They're not a great shooting team, and this team is Jackson Davis. This is their guy. Obviously, they need him. He's a great ball player, but I don't see a lot of playmakers throughout the rest of the team. They're okay. Don't get me wrong, but no, not great shooting team. I want the shooting team, which I think can keep me close in this ball game. So give me St. John's +6. I think at 5, you're okay. Interesting on the total. Obviously, St. John's up and down. And I guess that's why you get some turnovers from them, but they're going to score. I don't know. As much right away as I'm over, 151's a lot here. What did you think on this game, St. John's, Indiana?
Yeah, Connor, I think that when you look at it, it's a St. John's spot. To me, this is the litmus test for them to prove that they deserve a spot at the table in the contender list for the Big East, because a lot of people are already crowning them that. But when you beat cupcakes, you're supposed to beat cupcakes, just like I'm supposed to eat cupcakes. But I'll tell you, if this defense for Indiana comes to play and doesn't try and run with St. John's, they have the ability to possibly slow them down. And if they slow them down, they have a chance to cover that number. I personally don't think so. I like St. John's like you do. I took St. John's on the money line. I think that they win the game outright. So might as well keep it simple. Win or lose, I think St. John's could win.
Okay. I like to hear it. You just mentioned it too. If Indiana, they're at home, if they play some stifling defense, we've seen it with St. John's in the past where they, play better teams on the road. That offense looks amazing, scores 80, 90, 100, gets other teams, and then they'll stay in the 60s, 70s. So I can't wait to watch that one, but I got to go with St. John's there. This is my second one of the day. It is Texas Southern versus Air Force. Texas Southern favored by 2.5. Totals 131. It's 130.5, 130 now. Wow, Texas, they covered. This team has been a covering machine. They covered against Washington. We had the under in that game, and that's where I'm going back to. They're only shooting 25 from 3, 73 from the line, and Air Force is gaudy, 53 from the line. They don't shoot it. They're slow. I'd also agree, Max. I don't know if I want to double up on a couple of these unders, but this was my, one of my favorite ones. We mentioned some of these OTs that have broke us early that maybe splitting up your bet and taking the under. I'll get your opinion in a second. And Texas Southern as a dog has been money. They're 10-1 ATS as a dog, 6-1 on the road. They're 4-0 after a loss. I'm going to stay off the side. I lean Air Force a little bit, catching the 2.5, but I'm on this under. I thought this was a little bit too high. I thought this was like about 4 points. It could have been lower the way Air Force is playing basketball right now. So give me the under, 131. I'm good right now, even if you get a 130. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that with Texas Southern, where they're really going to have a big advantage on Air Force is on the offensive glass. We've seen how Bryson Gresham did on the offensive glass for Houston. Well, he's brought that type of offensive rebounding and he spread it amongst the big men for this Texas Southern team. I expect them to definitely be interested in playing a style and tempo that is more like Air Force. And I think that they're going to be able to get good penetration to the rim to get those buckets when they need it. I like Texas Southern, and I agree with the under.
Yeah, Air Force can make a game dirty, especially at home. I think Southern's solid here. I just didn't want to lay the 2.5. I think they're more athletic. You talked about there's something about Air Force, staying in a game even if they're down and mucking it up. So yeah, on the under there. This is my next game: Nebraska-Omaha versus Kansas State. Kansas State 17.5-point favorites. Total 133. Nebraska-Omaha's not a very good team. Last year they dealt with COVID, injuries. I think they're 5-20 last year. Their team, they were down to Ball State. They lost 73-69. They were down by like 23 at some point, or maybe it was even higher in that game, and they only lost by 4. They have a tough time shooting it, but they're pretty good defensively. And K-State, this team was bad last year, 9-20, and they're laying 17.5 here. I don't buy it. Not slow teams, too slow teams that aren't great shooting. This is when I gotta gobble the points here. I thought this was take the 17, and I'm also taking the under. I got 135. You're fine here at 133. I'm on a double up here, Max. Kansas State has won 10 games in their last 30, and they've beat teams by 10 twice. And it could get away here, but 17.5. That's not a team. We talk about teams like Texas A&M, Mississippi. Some of these teams I don't want to lay a number with. I would not want to lay a number with Kansas State. So give me Nebraska-Omaha. It's dirty, 17.5, and I'm on the under. This is a double up for me, 135. What do you think? You're on mute, brother.
Conor, I'm an overnight bettor. I like to get down with the unders late at night, and when I see a number specifically that is over 3.5 points per minute, I hate going back to that number, but I always go back to it. I'm like, can both of these teams do that? And when you look at the main pool of college basketball, there's about 250 teams that can't. So I always look towards an under in this game. I got a better number. I do like the 143.5 still, and I do like the ability of Omaha to come back. So if they do fall behind and make us start smacking ourselves in the head, I do think that there is some second half live betting value as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This line has dropped to 132.5 even in this game. So if you like the under, it's starting to dip a little bit in this one. All right, let's get to my fourth one here, Max. UC Davis. Man, this team's played really good. You get +1, money line, pick them, wherever it's at. It's right around there, staying there. Versus Pepperdine. Total is 146. I think UC Davis is a better basketball team just right now than Pepperdine. I think Pepperdine's on the slide a little bit. They got beat up by Rice. You were all over that one. And I don't think Rice is, they're an okay basketball team. Beat them by 19. Utah Valley took care of them, 86-74. They score. They don't play much defense. UC Davis, I thought that was a big win against Utah State to go there and, win pretty handily by about 10. They beat Eastern Washington, which I'm kind of down on, by 8, 84-76. Both teams can shoot it. Right here, they're the better basketball team. Give me UC Davis late tonight. I lean over. This is at 146. Both teams, I see an 84-76 type game, UC Davis. So I have a strong lean on the over, but just give me UC Davis to win here. What do you like in this ballgame?
Yeah, Conor, I'm already on UC Davis as a East Coaster, the best coaster. I get up and I bet those games while you're still sleeping. And with UC Davis, I'm not going to try and butcher this guy's name, but number 4, their starting center, he's a beast. I love how he plays. That's what's missing on this team. Front court depth, a bunch of different guys that can go and crash the offensive glass. But I like it. I like your play on it. I like UC Davis. And I'll even add an official play from this game for the show, Conor, that I want you to write down.
We got an ad?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I got an ad, my friend. I got Ad City. UC Davis, team total over 72.5. And it's -108.
Wow, that's a good look as well. I think they win this game they just get over that. They won. What was it? That first game, I'd have to double check and look it up, but I think it was 72. But they got 84-76. Pepperdine just seems to always play in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, that team total's a good look. I think Pepperdine gets theirs as well, scores. But UC Davis, shocked how well they played the first 2 games. We'll see in Pepperdine. This is their 3rd straight home game. You know, they've dropped one their last game to Utah State, like we talked about. But I like them here, and I'm freaking taking it. All right, let's get to my last one here. This is one I haven't made a play on. This was a lean for me. I wrote it in there. Merrimack versus Army. Merrimack's favored by 1.5. Total's 130. I talked a little bit with you, Max. I thought the total was just too light for me to make this a bet for the show at 130. I wanted like 134, 135. Merrimack, god awful. This team is very gritty, though. Not a very good shooting team. They beat New Jersey 61-54. They played Rutgers, and the score was 48-35. 48-35. They scored 35 points. And they're real slow. Army's a little bit up-tempo. You know, they have some good players. They're Caldwell, King, Grayson, some guys that can score for them. And they're a team that likes to go up, you know, usually in the 70s. So that's what kept me off here. I have a lean to the under 130. I need a little bit higher, but I like the under 130. And I lean to Army a tad bit, catching the 1.5. Just take a money line, in my opinion. Talk me over a little bit. So we just talked about it for a second. You know,
Yeah, I think that with this Merrimack team, they are not as good as a team that came into D1 2 years ago, but they still have the same philosophical similarities. And when you're talking about this Merrimack team, they are going to ball hawk you. They are going to struggle from the free throw line, but usually they'd have trouble from the 3-point line. That hasn't been the case this year. And with guys like freaking Malik Edmond and freaking who else they got that I really like there, it doesn't matter. But I think that this Merrimack team is going to be in for a tough game against Army because as the Patriot League governor, I want them to be introduced to Jalen Rucker. And with Jalen Rucker, that's the guy that fucks with his eyes open, Conor. And True. I think that the one issue that you're always going to have with Army is they can't make free throws if their life depended on it.
I know.
This is normally an under 63% free throw shooting team. So if it's a close game, you could get freaking very stressed. You may lose minutes off your life. But if they can play like they did against Hartford, then they can win. And I like Army. It's a biased pick, Conor. Very biased. I like Army.
I know you do. I don't think it's too biased, though. They're at home. By the way, they played 2 years ago. Obviously, different team from 2019. Army won 69-60. This total's 130. Right where it's at. Birdie. I haven't looked at the team total, Merrimack's under, yet, because this was just a lean for me. We're talking about it. I'd have to look it up and check it. But shout out to all our guys in the chat. Get your questions loaded up. This is my favorite time of the show. It's our last 15, 20 minutes. Rip off all the games, especially Max. I'll give you if I have a lean on a certain game. We want to get to as many as possible. I have a couple I wanted to talk to you about, but get them loaded, get them ready. But let's go to our commercials right now. Hit the sponsors, baby. Boom, we're back. I guess that cut off. Go to Southtown 101 if you're in the San Antonio area. Southtown 101, karaoke, the food, the booze. We love it. Support Southtown 101, supports Pub Sports Radio, and we love it. And Manscaped, go get it. Hit promo code Pub Sports. Keep your nuts clean, Your women will like it. You'll be better. Just keep it. Manscaped, 20% off, promo code Pub Sports. Also hit up MyBookie. Get promo code Pub Sports. You put 1,000 Bitcoin, they match you. If you put 1,000 the regular card, they give you 500 back. But go there, hit promo code Pub Sports. You need another book with all this college basketball, all these lines, all this move. You got to have multiple books. We all know that, right, Max?
Absolutely. Multiple books means that books are competing for your business, not the other way around.
Boom, bang it. Man couldn't say it better. So I love him. Go there. Go to mybookie.ag at promo code Pub Sports. Get in. Get with it. Let's get to the Q&A. Let's get to these right here. Let's start at the top. Here we go, Max. Mississippi State minus 15.5.
Yeah, with this Mississippi State game, this is a spot where I think that the length and the wizardry that Ben Howland did on the transfer market shows itself for the first time. If Detroit can't get to the rim and can't get their guards penetrating the bucket, they're going to have one option. That's Antoine Davis to shoot high volume. I don't think that's a very good situation for them to be in. I think that if you're looking at it, I want to take Mississippi State first half. I think that there's better value there, and that obviously leaves you room to wiggle out if it doesn't come through. And I also don't mind the under. It's a nice under.
Okay, I like it. How about Drexel for St. Joe's? Totals 142.5, 143. Drexel now favored by 1. What do you think here?
Yeah, I think that with a Philly 5 matchup, you got to be careful because there is a lot of motivation in these games. And I talked to the right people in the region. One's in the chat right now. You know him, I know him. My guy Teach, he's the one that definitely validated my play on Drexel, and I'm all over Drexel. James Butler didn't play a lot of minutes last game because he wasn't effective against the matchup zone. Well, he's not going to see none of that tonight. So I think him and Cam Winter play a little 2-man game, fuck with their eyes open, and make St. Joe's crying to their pillow, wishing Ryan Daly came back to school.
Yeah. Interesting line open too. St. Joe's has gone through 0 to Drexel. I've heard a few whispers. Drexel is the look tonight. This is a big one. This is one we want to talk about. Michigan State at Butler. Max. Butler's +3. Michigan State's laying 3 on the road. Totals 131.5. Let's get your look on it.
Yeah, so I was under the impression that Aaron Thompson was not returning to the lineup, but now I am receiving information to dispute that. So I do think that it is a nice addition. I think that it still comes down to, do you get a really nice performance out of Chuck Harris? And I just think that when you look at it at the end of the day, this is a Michigan State spot. This is a Michigan State number. It does make me think a little conspiracy theory. Oh, why hasn't this line moved up to 5 like it should have? Well, it is a young Michigan State team. They do have a really nice point guard tandem. Marcus Bingham is taking over and dominating, developing before our very eyes. The only missing piece to the formula right now is Max Christie. So I hope that Max has a breakout game. This is the type of defense that he's going to have a length advantage against most of the guard defenders he's going to go up against. And I just think with Michigan State, they got a team in Butler that is definitely down right now and not really worthy of my money. So I like the under, and I like Michigan State in the game.
I like the under as well in this one. I'm off this game. Obviously, I don't have a bet. I like Butler here a little bit at home. I needed more. Like you talked about, Max, if this was 5, I'd like it a little bit more. I think Butler, they bringing back a solid team. And I think defensive-oriented. Michigan State, obviously, I think has a little better, more athletic playmakers, but they're still young. Like you mentioned, I don't know about laying 3 at a place like that this early in the year is dangerous. I'd be on the other side. I'd look Butler's way at +3. Let's get to another one.
Connor, are you betting it?
I haven't bet it yet.
Okay.
I haven't bet it yet.
All right, so you're not.
If I bet it,
so you're not.
If I bet, no. If I bet it, I'll let you know, and I know. Yes, we will be. I'll be your enemy.
So we can go in the Discord and we can watch it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
And then I could win.
We'll see. We'll see, baby. We'll see. Let's get to our next one. Boston College, Rhode Island. Rhode Island's favored by 5.5. Did you have anything here, Max?
Yeah, I don't understand all the love for Boston College. Are they going to be able to score inside against Rhode Island's front court? Not so sure about that. My Bryant Bulldogs weren't able to, and with Boston College, while they don't have the strength of schedule of their non-conference of last year, this is still a difficult regional matchup for them. I think that you're going to be really relying on the Langford brothers to come through and score and produce, and I just don't know if that's going to be enough. I think that Rhode Island is going to have just enough three-point shooting. They're going to win this game with defense. They're going to turn it into a rock fight. At the end of the day, 5.5 is less than 2 3-point buckets, and I'll take that with the way that teams foul when they're down late in the second half.
Okay, this is the next one. I thought this was right away last night, a fascinating game. Toledo versus Oakland. Hit me with it. What do you like here? This one's a good one.
Yeah, one of the plays that I gave out on the Raw Mike Richards show with David Bastel today, and it's an Oakland spot. I got Oakland before the number flipped. I like Oakland because they have so much athleticism and guard ability at multiple positions with dudes that can score. And I think that Jamal Cain coming over to Oakland, knowing that Greg Kampe has such a really proven track record of turning you into a game-changing scorer. Well, we're seeing the next one in the Greg Kampe freaking trophy case. So as long as Jalen Moore comes to play and he doesn't have an awful shooting performance, this is an Oakland team that via their first 2 games deserve and are going to be given my respect. So you almost beat West Virginia. You beat Oklahoma State. I got to go with you at home.
Okay. This was another big one. I have not bet at all. I don't have a good feel on both these teams yet. I need to see a little bit more basketball. But I love your take. NC State, Oklahoma State. The line's now moved to 4.5 for the Cowboys. What did you like here?
I liked Oklahoma State at the opener at 3 just because with NC State, they're not gonna play zone against Oklahoma State, which is like the basic kryptonite, I think, for this personnel group. On the other side, what is NC State going to do as far as resistance to the front court scoring and the attacking the glass that Oklahoma State's front court is going to do tonight? I think it's a bad matchup for NC State because Manny Bates is injured. And I think that this is the first game that they really feel without him because last night they just didn't shoot the basketball well. And I think that it comes back to haunt them against the Cowboys. Yeah,
that's where no Bates, not for me. I know initially too, I thought Oklahoma State, but this one could be close. It could be a good one, but you're right. They played last night. How are they going to look? Pretty big game, neutral floor. I think they're in Connecticut, right? Mohegan Sun. That's where they're playing.
Yes, sir.
Mohegan Sun. Yeah. Let's get to this one. Huge line. Central Arkansas, Baylor. It's up to 33, 34. What about Baylor here? Playing the number.
Yeah, Baylor for me, that's an over game if you want to play a full game total. And I think it's just you got to play the Baylor team total overs and you got to play the Central Arkansas team total under. I think that Baylor playing yesterday isn't really going to have as much of an impact because they can go a little deeper. I think that with UCA, while they did bring in some replacements for DeAndre Jones and Ryan Bergson, I just don't think that it's adequate enough. And I think that they're going to struggle to score against the no middle man-to-man defense. And I think that Baylor's going to be able to run a lot of side-to-side action that's going to either end up with something with a close percentage shot or it's going to end up with an open three-point look kicked out. So as long as Adam Flagler's finger injury isn't too serious and it holds him out of the lineup, I think that Baylor team totals definitely have a little bit of value for a split unit action shot.
Okay. And most of you guys, when you hit up some of the questions, give us to our guy here, Sino Dinero. St. Mary's Bellarmine, 10 p.m. He gave it to me, minus 16, over under 127.5. Great way to put it in the chat. Appreciate it. We're running through this. What do you have in this game, Max?
Yeah, I think that when you look at this game, you miss the best of the line when it comes to the under full game, with the line opening at 134.5 and down to 127. I think that when you look at it, it's still an under game. I think that St. Mary's is going to be able to slow the possession down. And while they have had some success shooting the basketball at times early this season, they're not really through that brand or through that nickname of, well, these guys are great defensively. They hustle hard. They play with passion, but they can't shoot consistently. So I don't like the over. I think that at this number, you have to look at first half under, or you got to pass on it. From a side, I'm not looking to bet it. I think that it is possibly a spot where St. Mary's really grinds and can cover a number like this, but I'm not going to be interested in betting it with what else is on the board.
Yeah, okay. This is a fascinating one. Montana State, South Dakota State. They're favored by 10. The total's 156. I think we see points in this one. Do you have any look here, Max?
Yeah, I'm on the first half over in this game. I think that when you look at Montana State, they don't play defense. It's all offense. Even though by the looks of some of their players like Abdul Muhammad and Jabril Bello, they should be able to play defense. They don't. And with South Dakota State, it's just about them making shots. If they don't make shots, then this could be hard to get over. But with the way that Doug Wilson passes out of the post, it's hard not to like them in this situation.
Okay, Missouri State, Sam Houston. Missouri State's favored by 4.5, totals 146. I found this game pretty interesting as well. Let's hear it from you.
Yeah, I think that with Missouri State, this is their first road test, but they brought in 2 impact transfers in Donovan. Excuse me, I can't remember his first name. The Valpo transfer, and they brought in Jalen Minette. I think that when you look at these guys, they've definitely contributed early on. Minette with the 3-point shot, Clay with freaking rebounding and defense. Not going to give you the kind of rim protection, but you need strong guards to guard that 3 or 4 spot, stop that mid-range shooting. I think that with Missouri State, this is their true test. And with Missouri State games, I'm always looking for certain information. I want to look for a Missouri State game that they can take care of the ball against the defense they're going up against. They can dominate defensive glass. They can abuse the rim and get to the free throw line frequently. And they're not going to need to hit threes because that's their opponent's defensive strength. All 5 of those boxes to check off are checked off for Sam Houston State. So hopefully I don't eat crow, but I'm riding with the Bears, and hopefully it's not a repeat of the beginning of the season against SEMO.
Okay, from our guy, Mills, MMA Locker Room. Ryder, Bucknell. Yeah, shout out to Mills. Ryder, this is Bucknell open 1. This is moved to Ryder -2. Totals right around 144, 143.5. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I like the under in the first half under most in this game. If Bucknell does not get a 30-point performance from Andrew Funk, I don't really see Andre Screen and company and Xavier Rice really being able to fill the role and get that offense going. So I'm all over the unders. Ryder plays a lot of unders. They do have a better supporting cast with Demincio Vaughn and Dwight Murray being your first and second option, but it's just not a spot where I think that this is going to be a 3-point shooting barrage.
Yeah, G. Martinez, we talked about the Mississippi State, Detroit. Let's get to this. One was interesting to me. I wanted to talk to you about that I had circled. Northern Iowa versus Arkansas. It's 12.5 totals, 141. I thought could this be a first half Arkansas? I mean, how good's Northern Iowa this year? Let me know here, Max.
Yeah, on paper, Northern Iowa should be a lot better than they have been, and that's why I'm a little weary of taking a side. I think that this is a spot where you look at the under. I think it's a sneaky under, and I think that Arkansas could bring out and play their first big defensive game of the year.
Okay, let's get to another one. No one mentioned this in the chat, but I had written down 2 games real quick. George Mason versus Maryland. Maryland, 9.5-point favorites. Totals 141.5.
Yeah, it's hard not to be impressed by George Mason. And I think that while Maryland is going to be better later on in the year, there is still a work in progress. It is important to note that while Fats Russell comes over from Rhode Island with the reputation as a high volume shooter, he's been a lot more efficient from at least the short periods of time I've been watching Maryland basketball. So that's definitely an interesting development as far as maturity and development as a player. But I just think that George Mason is playing a very loose style of basketball. I think that with Deshaun Schwartz leading and starring in that role, Colorado's definitely missing an impact player. I think that it's George Mason's opportunity to prove that they're not only good for betting as a home ATS favorite versus cupcakes, that they can play a little bit of the spoiler role against Maryland.
Let's get to it. Our guy tease here. LaSalle. I like this one as well. Delaware favored by 7. There's a few 6.5 totals. 142.5, 143. Interesting one here. Max.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I don't have a bet on the side or total as of yet. I would lean towards taking the points with Delaware at home. I think that sometimes there is a little home cooking. And with the depth of this backcourt for Delaware, I'm just waiting for them to have a big game.
All right. What about UConn? Your team total over? Do they cover tonight as well? Obviously, the line's gone up from last night.
I'm actually hoping that they don't cover, but I am hoping that it's highly offensive. And with the way that the post book night era has gone, we've seen I would say like a 7 or 8 point rise in production from Tyrese Martin. And when you look at the fact that this Adama Sanogo could be the most dominant big man by the time he leaves college basketball. So I'm really high on UConn. I can't wait to watch them play. And on the other side of the ball, I think Isaac Conte and Ty Flowers really need to show up. If they don't show up, it's going to be hard for this game to go over. But I think UConn's going to give the home crowd at Gamble Pavilion exactly what they want. And I'll be wearing my UConn starter shirt and my UConn hat, fucking my eyes open, yelling at the TV and disturbing my neighbors.
Well, I'm going to give you a lot of shit throughout the year, but I think this UConn, your UConn team is very talented, though. I think they're going to be really good this year. So I don't know how much shit I can give you if they keep winning. We got just a few minutes left here, Max. I got to get to a couple that were in here. I didn't see Wyoming on the schedule, Birdie. I saw you mention that in there. Wyoming +6. I didn't see that on the card. Did you, Max?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about. Northern Colorado, Texas. Texas favored by 21.5. Anything there?
Yeah, it's all Texas. Rebound City. Chris Beard says, I'm going to make you tough. I'm going to work you hard. You're going to play tough and you're going to play hard. I think that's what's going to happen tonight. Northern Colorado, you're in a bad zone, baby. You better enjoy your dinner because you're going to get dessert through a tube.
Excellent. I think that's about everything. We got no more from the chat. We're going to run through them right now, Jay and Cam, all our bets for you. Let's get to it, Max. Let's just rip through yours. Final. Let's get the hell out of here and make some cash, baby.
All right, so I'm going to go with Vandy, first half, -3. Marist, full game, +7. Binghamton, first half, -1.5. Grand Canyon, first half, -6.5. UCLA, team total, over 85.5. And my addition, UC Davis, team total, over 72.5. Those are my plays for the show.
Excellent, my guy. Shout out to the chat, everyone in there. We appreciate you guys so much. Hit the like, share our video, subscribe, the bells, the whistles, the shit I always say. Let's get to mine. And anybody, if I missed a question, I don't mind people hitting me up, writing me a question on Twitter. It's just no problem. So if you have a question on a game, I have no problem answer. I'm sure Max doesn't either. We're not getting bombarded. But if I missed you, and you want to chat, throw me a message. I don't mind it. Let me get to mine real quick. My first one, St. John's +6. It's now 5. I think you're still fine at 5. I'm going to go Texas Southern Air Force under 131. I think this is a dead under in this spot. Nebraska-Omaha, I'm doubling up here. Kansas State The under 133, I think we see low scoring, and I'm on the 17.5. I don't think K-State should be favored at all in this spot. And UC Davis should take a money line. You know, you can get them +1 some spots, pick them. They beat Pepperdine. I also lean over in that game. Don't know if I'm going to take it. 146, I think we can get there. Max mentioned a good one. Take UC Davis's team total over 72.5 might be a good look, he mentioned. And my last one, I'm off the game. We talked about it. I'm keeping off. Me and Max went through it. I have a lean with Merrimack Army catching 1.5 in the under 130. It's just a lean. I'm not going to give it out. And that's it, baby. That is it. Another one in the books. We are done, Max, on a Wednesday. I can't wait to cash. Keep cash, cash, cash. Eat those cupcakes. Give one word before we bounce out, brother, to the chat.
Dip your chicken tenders in honey and try and help Boston Nick not dip them in honey mustard. He needs our help. Let's help him.
Well said. Couldn't be said any better. We're out of here. I'm Conor Mack. That's Maxwell Smart, baby, the legend. And we be pumping! Get it.